Hey guys, welcome back. This is yet another Friday, and we are so humbled. We are so happy. We are so excited to see you. Or yeah, not to see you generally, but we are glad that you're with us today. Please don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. On Instagram at Eagle Mamas and on Facebook at Embakasi West Welfare Association. It is just another Friday, and when we had a conversation last Friday, we were with an amazing pastor, Pastor Richard Chogo, and we were talking about can Christians get depressed? And amazingly, we had an amazing conversation that I hope you got help. Yeah? And so today we have an amazing guest. My name is Steve Kamau, and it's only fair for me to start from the far left by introducing himself. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. Martin Omondi.
Yeah.
And as usual, it's nice to be seen. But I wish I had the chance to see them as well, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Awesome stuff, man.
Umesema you have a guest.
Yeah. No, I've said that. I have guests.
You said you have
All
a
right,
guest.
I have guests. So on my near left.
Yeah, my name is Joy.
Yeah.
Come in the meeting.
Yeah.
Mm.
Come down. These are amazing people. And as you have known from previous discussions you've had, and so today's question is, whose business is it? Indeed, we have been having a conversation around mental health in the church. And as you remember, Mato was in the first one, and he was really talking, we were having a discussion on mental health in the church and who's behind the mask, or what's behind the mask. And once again on Friday, we also talked about can Christians get depressed? So today we are asking whose business is it? And so as we have also had statistics on how mental health is really affecting from the previous show, the church or the Christians, there are things that came about. There are myths that are put across about mental health illness upon Christians. There are people who say that it's so demonic, yeah? And I believe Pastor Richard Chogo really demystified it and clearly put across what it is, all right? So my question is to you, Joy. Whose business is it?
Mental health.
Yes.
All of us.
All of
Begins
us.
with me, then you, then my surrounding, then my
Yeah.
church, everyone.
Okay.
Mm.
Do you think the church really talks more about it?
No.
All right. Cool stuff. Martin, whose business is it?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Because anyone and everyone can get it.
Yeah.
So it's anyone and everyone's place to
Yeah.
try and tackle it.
So it's very beautiful how we are all Christians, and maybe one or another we serve or we fellowship in the same space. Yeah. So do you think the church is its business? Do you think it's the church's business to maybe because we have been tackling mental health in the church? Do you think it's the church's business to be able to take care of its people?
Yeah.
And why do you say so?
But who is the church?
Okay.
Because the Bible says where two or three are gathered, the Lord is there.
No.
So the church is me and you and you.
All right.
Kama sisi wote our mental state haiko in the correct place,
Mm.
hatuwezi fellowship with fullness of heart.
Yeah.
So until to learn to take care of each other in the church, hatuwezi fellowship like hatutakuwa tunapeana our 100%.
Okay.
There'll be something left.
All right.
Yeah.
Mato, whose business? Do you think the church it's the church's business? And as she has said, where two or three are gathered in His name, He's there.
It is their business.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about the church, the institution.
The institution.
Yeah, because if you're part of a church,
Yeah.
they are your stewards.
Mm.
And I think where the church hatas kidogo, where they go wrong, in my honest opinion, is we tend not to see that line of what we can do
Yeah.
and what we say, let's leave it to God.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I feel like the church is caught up in its own tail. Once you now tell the church you need to do something about it,
Okay.
and they feel no, as we leave it to God.
Yeah, we pray about
We
it.
pray about it.
Yeah.
There's only so much we can do, but the church is literally doing more. I feel like the church hides behind its spirituality at times. There's stuff that they can do, but in order to not look underperforming or inadequate, so to say,
Yeah.
they'd rather say like it's not our place, it's God's place.
And
Which I won't say it's wrong, let's not say it's God's place.
Yeah.
But I feel like in as we say leave it to God, but we are here and we are God's agents.
yeah.
And it's God's children being affected by it. So God will use us as vessels.
Mm.
So it's really a point of, in as much as we'll pray,
Yeah.
now us as the church,
Yeah.
and as stewards of those who have come to the church in
Mhm.
pursuit of Christ,
Yeah.
we need to do something about it as well. So it is their business.
Joy, when Martin was talking about a point about spiritualizing every single thing, yeah?
Yeah.
You are in total agreement.
Yeah, this is interesting because we were having this conversation with
Yeah.
you earlier. We, so let me put this in layman's language. We know that mental illnesses is a disease,
It is.
but we will have this conversation like we're friends. I tell you to seek a therapist. Yes, we will pray about it, but then he's like, you need to go and get prayed. We do not disagree with being prayed for. Lakini, when God created trees, he knew we needed chairs. He didn't give us seats, he gave us trees to make seats. So at mental health be the same thing. Like what was I saying?
Mental health.
Mental health
Yeah.
ni the same thing too.
Yeah.
Ukiwa mgonjwa, you go seek treatment, then God brings the healing.
Yes.
Tukisema hiyo ya, we'll pray about it. Okay, we've prayed, but you know hata hao watu wenye wana preach, hao watu wenye wana teach pia wako na mental issues. Doesn't mean they don't pray enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was what I wanted to add.
Interesting. Now, you've touched on some few things that Pastor Richard talked on the previous show. He really touched on, and
Yeah.
he said community is something that needs to be cultured and cultivated. You know, it's not reacting but responding to. And maybe for you, you say the church really, well, me and you need to take. This is our business. Yeah. Do you think the church has really done that? Really? Because now, if you point, you say me and you. Do you think we have taken the responsibility to help curb, or not even curb really, but help those people who are mentally ill?
Me and you.
Yeah.
Yes, me and you have.
But generally.
No, I think we have this face we put on
Yeah.
that we always want to give the testimony, not the process in here.
Okay.
Like it's very normal to say I am well, I am healing, but it is not the common thing to say that I am not okay, I need help.
All right.
Because that will make you deem like you don't know how to pray or you're not praying enough. So you want it to be like, I prayed for myself, then God answered. Like that is the testimony you want to give. Na kinyozi hajinyoi. You won't always be there to hold yourself.
Yeah.
So unless nikuje, I talk about it, I tell you with them at all, I am not feeling well. We talk about it, or you refer me to a psychologist or a therapist, then I get help. Sitakuwa nimemsaidia, like hatutakuwa tumesaidiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Martin?
What I think is, Tivo, mental health issues or disorders are things that have been there before, right?
Yeah, sure.
But it took it blowing up, and there are figures of like people being depressed,
Yeah.
suicide cases, going to an all-time high for people to now see that we really need to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, looking at the church in Kenya, the institution that is, we tend to talk about it, but now actual work on the ground, I'm sure there are churches out there that are doing it,
Yeah.
but in comparison to how big the problem is, I feel the church is not as loud as it should be. And I'd say that confidently because I believe that there's so much that can be done. As from the smallest step to being intentional with offering like the psychological
Help.
help.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't take you just saying, okay, we have a counseling center.
Yeah.
Just go. You first need to tell someone what it's for, what it's all about.
Yeah.
Just make people realize, because here's the thing, Steve. When we talk about mental health, to someone they're still asking, what is this mental health
Yeah.
issues people are talking about?
Yeah.
So you find that someone who's depressed doesn't even know it.
Yeah.
Someone who's suicidal just knows I have these thoughts, but they
I
don't
feel
really.
nice when I cut my skin.
I feel, because I have a friend who got to it, and to her it was cutting myself gives me a different kind of pain to take my mind off the pain that is my life.
Yeah.
You know, even you trying to understand that statement, it's hard.
It's hard, yeah.
So that's why, and such things is what I now say, here's what the church needs to realize. There's an aspect of prayer needed. There are a lot of it, but also you can't run into someone who's suicidal and just tell them, I'll pray for you.
Yeah, sure.
I I need to be really intentional on how I'll find you, how I'll handle you, and how I'll be intentional with your healing.
Yes.
How I'll let God use me. It's like this.
Yeah.
It's always an L kind of thing.
Yeah.
Christ to me to you.
Yes.
But God can also do a direct God to you.
Yeah.
But since we don't know God's plan, we can't be like, hey, so I talked to God and he said, Kesho at this time, you meet him. So it always has to realize that as the church, we are God's agents, we are God's vessels, and we are stewards.
Interesting.
So we are not doing enough, we can still do more.
Now, when we talk about business, we look at there's something we're doing. Do you think it's anyone's business? You know, yeah. I remember asking the first question, whose business is it? But I'm also asking, do you think it's anyone's business? Come on.
Okay.
Do you think it's anyone's business?
I think Mato should go. You should
I
go
go first?
first.
Okay. Yet again, the church, the institution.
Okay.
I feel like that's primarily what we mean when we say the church.
No, right.
Because ideally the church isn't the building, it's us.
It's us.
But when people are looking at the church, they tend to be like,
Then
One
now
or two
categorize.
ndio hizi the churches, nyinyi mnasema nini?
Alright.
So that's why I'm really on the church, the institution. Here's what I think, Steve-O. Let's say we are a church, we are running a church. When people come to us, we have the systems we have in place.
Yeah.
We have in each ministry that people are in charge. We have the pastors, we have the leadership.
The entire clergy.
It is our business as the stewards. Here's what I'm thinking. If you're a parent, Steve-O, it's your business on what happens to your child.
Okay.
If you're running a school, if I've entrusted you with my kids,
Yeah.
it's now your business on what happens to my kids.
Okay.
So us, as the people in the church, it is our business as stewards entrusted by God over his children.
Yeah.
We will be held accountable for it.
True.
And these are some of the loopholes, Steve, that I think of when I read the Bible and see this verse of, we performed miracles in your name, we called on your name, but God still tells you, I never knew you.
Yeah.
And if you really put it into perspective, someone who's performing miracles, to you that's like the highest level, where you and God are like this same WhatsApp group. But now such a person being told, I never knew you, it means you could be somewhere really high in the church,
Yeah.
but you're still doing things that are missing the mark.
Yeah.
And yet again, it's not an attack on anyone. I'm just saying that we need to think full spectrum on this. We have human beings in the church, wholesome human beings,
Yeah.
physical, mental, spiritual. Let's not just dissect them and decide this is in church. We only deal with the spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to think on how we enrich physically, emotionally, because it's abandonment of the emotional side of you that leaves you feeling like, okay, I'm too depressed, I don't even know how the church can help me. Yeah. So it is our business. We are stewards. We'll give an account.
Yeah.
Steve, if you're leading a ministry and I'm there with you, you'll have to give an account. I was
Also.
there.
Yeah.
Were you intentional with how you dealt with me? Even if the church is big, it always boils down to the systems you put in place. So it is their business and they'll be rated for it.
Okay. Joy, I'm thinking on what generally, maybe you've touched on the church. You talked about individuals who's, I believe, not only the church, but yeah, we make the church. But do you think, how does an individual take care of this business?
Me as an individual.
Yes.
The first step is being intentional. Like if I want to take care of, I want to take care of myself first.
Yeah.
Like nijue, I cannot serve anyone else kama sijajiserve mwenyewe.
Okay.
I cannot give from an empty cup.
Yeah.
We take the initiative to heal. I usually tell people, I tell my friends most of the time.
What does he have?
Wait.
Okay. There is much more.
I tell my friends, what do I tell my friends? I usually tell my friends, you cannot give something you don't have. Ndugu nayo, huwezi pika sufuria iko empty.
Yeah.
Like you have to have something there to give. Until you learn to heal yourself, huwezi heal mtu mwingine. Until you learn to be comfortable in your skin, huwezi saidia mtu mwingine ako comfortable in your skin. Na ukiona una attract watu wako hivyo, that means that's a cycle that will keep repeating itself until you heal yourself. You heal people, like even the generations ukuwa hizo generational curses and everything, na hizo cycles ukuwa broken. Yeah, I remember what I tell my friends.
Mm.
Healing,
So what about this?
But
I tell my friends that,
Yeah.
like in one sentence,
Yeah.
healing is not about going for girl dates, spa dates, nail dates. Healing is not about that. Healing is sitting down and listening to yourself. Like your mind is telling you, I am tired, I can't get out of this bed. You're like, okay, what is going on with us? You listen to that. It is very painful.
Okay.
Healing comes with a lot of pain. It's a new wound. Hakuna kidonda yote haipandi uchungu.
Yeah.
So until you experience that, hutaniambia you're healing because nimeambiwa tu shida zangu, but nimewambia lakini sija take time kuziprocess hizo feelings and everything. It has to start with you. After umefanya hivyo, nikuje nisikize macho. Si aniambie story nipate kitu ya kwenda kuambia Steve.
Yeah.
I'm listening with the intention of helping you. Intentionality tena. Najua I'm not just hearing what you're saying. I'm listening to you. I am seeing everything you're doing on your face. I can feel inamuumiza sana.
Yeah.
Tunapeleka hiyo chini na ile intention, an honest intention ile ya I really want to help this person. Not because that we are sitting on the same panel, because I am meant to heal this person. I am meant to help them heal. Lazima uko na hiyo intention.
Do you think us asking whose business is there a myth and misconception about whose business is it?
Yes.
Which
Tunaishi in a generation that says it's none of my business.
Oh.
I'm meddling. And that has nothing to
mind
do
your
with me.
business.
That has nothing to do
So,
with me.
okay, now we agree they're myths.
Yeah.
And, well, can you help someone at home, Martin,
Yes.
to really understand what are some of these myths that really are out there, that once we're asking, when we say, hey, come in here, this is your business to take care of these people. What are some of the myths that people who are taking care of other people have?
Some of the myths they have. One, I'm not a professional.
Oh yeah.
I have to be a professional, a psychiatrist, a counselor, to know how to help you when you're going through mental health issues. Next, I can't help you unless you speak.
Okay.
Because I don't believe that people tend to speak a lot through their actions. So I'm big on listen to people's actions as much as you listen to their words. If there's someone around you and ideally you'd say, this person is like this, but of late they've not been like this. So you could see, but you're like, as long as ajaniambia, actually my business. And also, I don't want to intrude. Acha nisimuulize, labda atasikia, labda ataona kama na overstep.
So in his time.
Ataniambia in his time, hata labda Mungu anamsort.
John?
Na the final one, sorry,
You're talking, no problem.
acha nitamuombea Mungu ataniacha. Acha nimuombee tu, acha Mungu amsort. Nita-intercede, but nitakuwa na wewe every day, but nikulenge.
Joy, do you have any other myth that you think are really hindering us taking care of the business?
Yes. Kama anakuja kuserve and everything, hafai kuwa na hizi shida.
Okay.
Kama ameokoka hafai kuwa na hizi shida. Hizi ni shida za dunia.
So do you think also the African culture is really resulting to how we handle the business?
Everything is. Like kila kitu yenye tumefunzwa inatuonesha emotions si vitu za kwenda ukiannounce.
Okay.
Deal with your things inside. Fanya shadow work yako ukiwa peke yako. Usiulize Steve wako aje. Like asikwambie hizi vitu sababu mimi ni dem na yeye ni Charlie, will catch feelings. Like kuna vitu tudogo tunye tumezieka until ikakuwa hatuwezi tusaidiana. Hatuwezi saidiana. Na kusaidia juu kuna kitu nitaget in return. Like na kusikiza juu najua now mimi natoa dating naweza kuwa nataka kujua gift yenye nitabaya, so I'll come ask Steve. So wacha niko friend ya Steve alafu nikuwe the other na unchalangu lakini atanisaidia. I have this friend Evo, like hatusaidiani because we want to.
There's a hidden matter.
So could you just
the question is, do you think really the African culture is really not only resulting but hindering how we work on this business?
The African culture.
Yeah. Because generally, not really the United, but the Western countries are really embracing mental health. Because if you look at this, in the olden days in the African culture, if you're mentally ill, they will say you witchcraft, or there's a brogi somewhere who has sat down and to piadu kamote, for example. Now, how does that African culture, or culture generally in Africa, hinder us performing or doing the business of helping people on mental
I
health.
get
Because
you.
we pointed out some few myths and misconceptions,
Yeah.
and I believe these myths and misconceptions come from somewhere because they're not derived from someone, but they have a point of origin, and maybe, I don't know, culture maybe is one of them.
It is one of them. Because I feel like how, like just the one that we've said, if you go through depression, then utamba, kushona umeokoka. Wewe unajua Mungu kweli? Utajuaje Mungu na upitie vitu kama hizi? So that's
ya mtu akona mental health mgani kwa Bible?
exactly.
I was asked that question once.
Elijah.
You see, so
Elijah was mentally ill.
actually yes.
But yeah, that's
so
another
also,
conversation.
there's this I think in culture as a whole, in Africa we tend to point fingers first,
Okay.
while the West tends to first understand what it is where you are. So if you're not well in where you are, you're depressed, I'll tend to jijazia before you even speak.
Okay.
So if I know a bit about you, I'll assume, I tend to put it together, and I'll judge, I'll try and diagnose you on my own instead of listening to you.
So we are quick in reacting.
We are very reactive. We aren't really proactive. When it comes to mental health, it's our culture to react to it. We're not proactive, really. You're not depressed currently. Let me help you on how to avoid it. I'll wait for you to be depressed, then we'll now tackle it. But when you're okay, everything is okay.
Now, on our previous show, I'll really go back to that because it really opened up a lot on mental illness and how the church really handled it. Do you think really not the church generally, but because now when you're talking about mental health in the church and generally whose business is it? Everyone's business. It's everyone's business. But there's also somewhere someone saying it's not my business. So we are quick in reacting. But how many times do we respond to that? How do we respond to you telling me I am not okay? Instead of reacting, how do I respond? Now, also thinking about it, we've talked about culture, myths and misconceptions. Now, there's someone seated down at home right now, and he's watching or she's watching us, and she's asking, now, how should I start? I don't know. I have a friend who's mentally ill. How should I start? Where should they start?
That's an interesting question because knowing your friend has a mental issue is the way to start. Like you've listened to them.
Yes.
That is the first thing. Listening. Not just hearing people like uskuna niongelesha quite empathetic, listen to them.
So we need to try to work on our empathy.
Yeah.
The first thing you'll do is to listen. The second thing, do not diagnose. Just convey story ukwe like, hey, na bezi uko na depression. You're not qualified for that. I think this is something I tell all my friends like all the time. Hautawahi ambia mtu ako depressed unless umesomea. There's depression and there's anxiety. Characteristics zake ni almost the same. So utamwambia ni depression. Utamwambia ako na depression na maybe ako na anxiety. Alafu yeye aende ajidiagnose, aende akule dawa za depression. Hizo si dawa zenye alikuwa anafaa kunywa. Second thing, kama hauko in a position to help, seek help. You know the one thing we never do as friends. Ukiniambia kuwe siwezi msaidia itakuwa sasa mimi na sijasomea tadu. Sini sawa umeniambia. Umeniambia lakini sasa tadu. My cousin usually says, "What? So tadu?" Like kumwambia story alafu akue haizi kusaidia. What? So tadu?
Na umeenda kumtafuta.
Umeenda kumtafuta. So tadu? Kwa hapa niko like nilikuwa nakwambia ndio tujue lakini
umenirudishia.
Mostly as a joke. The second thing is kama hauko in a position to help, refer them to someone who can help. Reach out. Tuko na number tutawapea.
0722325960.
Like si lazima umsaidie na kila kitu. Kama hujasomea unafanya course ya mathematics. Hakuna mahali kwa course ya math utaifanya anything psychoanalysis, mental health. Kama hauwezi msaidia usifanye kitu yenye hauwezi. Hiyo itakuwa kuharibu. Utamwambia kunywa hii nilisikia ni nzuri leo ugonjwa wako ikuwe worse. Mrefer to someone who can help. Mato unaweza.
I'd say once you know your friend is depressed or going through things, let me say going through things,
Yeah.
don't change how you react around them.
Yeah.
Like, don't make it like obvious, like, okay, so I need to be like this because you told me that you're not okay. Because now you'll make it awkward.
Yeah.
Because I feel like someone who's gone through anxiety and near depression, the last thing I needed is someone shining the spotlight on me.
Yeah. Ama hatuwezi kuwa happy ukiwa next time
yeah,
tutacheka
like,
sana na yeye yuko kwa
giving me like extra attention
Oh,
outside. Ila soma tu, how are you? Uko aje? Uko sure uko poa?
uko kwa tuende kando tuongee.
You see, like how you think that because I'm not okay, like there's always more that I'm not telling you. So you're trying to push for more information. You'll make them shut down. You make them shut themselves off. Because most people going through mental issues tend to isolate themselves. So if your friend opens up to you, I'd really side with joy. If you are not in a place to help, seek help.
Seek help.
Yeah. Lead them to the help. And really be careful on how you handle the information. It's not information that needs to be spread to everyone.
Yeah.
Joy tells me she's not okay. Then I'm first of people. By the joy alisema yuko sawa. Tufanye
It needs
confidentiality. Yeah. We really need to have a lot of, let me call it wisdom, on how we handle people who are not okay mentally. And we really just need to be, I'd emphasize on love.
Yeah.
Because someone who's not okay just needs to feel that love. Because they feel alone. That's why they tend to isolate. They're like, okay, so my life is a mess, I'm going through so much. Let me just retreat into this hole and just be by myself. So you might be the only sun they'll see.
Yeah.
I'd say that metaphorically, because yes, there'll be the sun, but the sun will irritate you. When you're depressed, when you're anxious, the sun is irritating. Everything is irritating. So if your friend sees you as that one person who they don't mind being around, it's a point of privilege, but it's also a point of responsibility. Just like the Bible says, too much is given, much is expected. So I think to anyone out there, whether you know a friend who's depressed or not, anxious, it's up to you to educate yourself. There's a lot of resources online on how to go about these things that we're talking about. So it's only responsible on your part to do your research. Just as we said, it's everyone's business. So it is your business to go out and look for information about it.
Interesting. Now I know as time goes by, we're almost finishing, yeah? And also another question I'd like to ask. Now, how do I know I am depressed?
How do you know you're depressed?
Seek professional help.
That's how I
Usiende
know.
kuangalia social media. Wende hapa Google.
Dr. Google wouldn't help me.
No. Juwale, mimi nikikaa chini nitaamua, hey, mimi nilikuwa depressed na this is how I was feeling. Niende niandike. Then Mato aende andike yake. Then mwingine aende andike yake. Hautajua nani daktari. Google iko na kila kitu nitakusikia. Ukienda ukitafuta kitu hutakosa hapa Google. I have a headache, I cannot sleep at night, I have problem eating. The first thing, like ile kitu unatafuta ndo watakuonesha, watakwambia you have depression. Maybe ni stress tu, like normal stress ile ya kazi, ama ni ugonjwa ingine yenye si mental health related inaanza kumanifest, ndo inakuja hizo shida za appetite. Wewe umeenda Google ukaenda ukajidiagnose. That is the one. Ni kama tu kusema, hey, nasikia kahoma kanakuja. Ni kama ni malaria. Acha nikunywe dawa za malaria. Acha nikunywe antibiotics. Ni the same thing na mental health. Watu wengi hufanya mental health kama a lesser disease than any other disease. Mental illnesses ni diseases pia.
Mato, how can one know that they're depressed?
Remain in touch with yourself. Always listen to your body. And listen to your mind.
You've sounded like our parents. Actually, nisikize mwili yangu kwanza.
Yeah, like just if you do, you know, most of the times you don't even know when you're drifting. You don't even know when you're anxious because you never take the time to listen. How not just get into your own mind and see how am I. That is why how are you is imekuwa salamu. Hey, how are you? I'm fine.
I agree with the full stop.
Says you're hungry, you've not eaten the last 2 days, you're feeling very, you have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm saying I'm fine because taki kukwambia.
Yeah.
Most times I'll say I'm fine because really I don't even know.
Yeah.
So it's just a generic response, I'm fine. So you really need to really ask yourself, so how am I? How really am I? So be in touch with yourself and have a confidant, have someone you can speak to.
Okay.
And I think hatufai kusema how would someone know they have depression. Ni how would someone know their mental health is not okay. Juu utakuwa hauna depression lakini uko na what schizophrenia, uko na anxiety.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
And also, sorry,
okay.
you know how we say it's okay not to be
Not
okay?
okay.
Yeah.
We'd also need to have to add like a plus to that, because I'm now making you see that do not be in denial when you're not okay, but also I'm not now telling you just remain there, it's okay where you are. You're not okay, it's okay.
It's okay.
I'm not telling you it's okay, wake up. It's now it's the first step. It's okay. Don't beat yourself down. Don't isolate
It's
yourself.
not something
But
big wrong.
seek help.
Yeah.
It is always the first step after you accept,
Yeah.
because you're either in denial or you accept it.
Yes.
Being in denial is when you're, am I sick now that I'm not okay? Am I cursed? Am I?
Mental health ni vitu za watu wako na pesa.
Hizi ni nini? So just accept it when you know that, okay, so this, you know, most of the times things that are associated to mental health will be tied to stuff like your experiences.
Yeah.
You were raped, you lost someone close to you,
Yeah.
a heartbreak, people going to serious mental health issues because the boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with them. You lost a very close friend or relative, you failed an exam.
Yeah, and it goes down to even that.
Yeah. So whenever you feel that something really affected you beyond how you'd expect it to, talk to someone. It
Okay.
helps a lot.
Yeah.
Even if, you know what I'd tell my friends back then when I wasn't okay, is I would tell my friend things, not because I wanted to get a response from them. I just want to get it out.
Okay.
Yeah, so just if you're a friend to someone and they come to speak to you, listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't even need to hear.
Yeah, I
they
don't
just
need-
need someone to talk to.
I'd come and tell you, hey, things are like this, are like that. I'm not expecting you to not tell me, okay, so this is what you need to do. Just want you to listen. I'm offloading.
Yeah.
So learn to offload as well.
Okay.
Well, learn who to offload.
And learn who to offload. That is very important as well.
Not everyone.
Not everyone.
All right, guys. As you're sitting down at home, yeah. The number, if you're passing through, or you need to talk to someone, the number is 0722325960, and I believe it's passing through. It's going through your screen. It's down on your screen. 0722325960. Yeah. And you can follow us and all these conversations on our social media platforms. On Instagram at Eagle Mamas and on Facebook at Eagle Mamas Welfare Association. And I believe you shall get help. There are a lot of things we have indeed touched on. And in terms of mental, and thank you very much, Joy, for clarifying mental illness is not only depression. You know, there are more others. Yeah? And I would like you to look at our viewers, because I believe time is really spent. Look at our viewers and let them know what are your final thoughts, Martin?
Okay. My final thoughts on this. Life is full of ups and downs. Most of the times what will get you into a space of not being okay is not something that you'd see coming.
Yeah.
So I think my final remarks would be an emphasis on remain in touch with yourself. Do not give yourself a cold shoulder.
Yeah.
Take time to just listen to yourself. Pay attention to what your body tells you.
Yeah.
It is your body, but your body gives you signals. When you're feeling more tired than usual, when you're feeling like you're getting awkward migraines consistently, listen to it and don't turn to Dr. Google first. Dr. Google, people will just be saying a lot of symptoms.
Yeah.
You know, I could be having mental health issues, but I also have malaria.
Yeah.
So when I'm writing on it, I'd be like, you know, I was depressed while I had some pains in my ankles and my, you know, ankles. You know.
All right.
You know.
But also you can
It's
get
a
pain in your
synonym.
ankles.
It's a synonym.
So,
So yeah, just remain in touch with yourself and seek help,
all right.
professional help. therapist, from a friend. Always learn to speak out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joy?
Okay, I'll start with the church. It is okay to not have all the solutions. It is okay to refer someone to a doctor. Yes, pray for them, but refer them to a doctor. To you who is, well, struggling with something, anything, all these mental illnesses. Sometimes it's even disorders. Like, ni hizi vitu zenye, you know, we don't talk about this much, so we don't know there's different things. When you say mental illness, people think, depression. That's the first thing that comes to everyone's mind. But there's more to it than just that. When you're not okay, seek help. It is okay to seek help. It doesn't make you any less of a Christian or Muslim, or it doesn't make you any less spiritual if you seek help. Pray about it. I will always insist, pray about it. But isiishi hapo. When you're sick, you go to the physician to be treated. Do the same with your mental health. Take care of yourself. Take time off everything. Take time off yourself. Be like, you know what? Today I'm not overthinking. I'm not even thinking about anything. I'm just going out. I am going to sit in the sun. See lazima when there's somewhere like a spa date or just go sit, breathe. They said I'm not thinking about anything. Just zone out. Take care of yourself first. If you're the friend, be empathetic. Learn to listen. Do not take usichukue sheria mikononi. Like if it is something that is out of your control, just tell them, by the way,
You need help.
refer them to someone. If you don't know someone to refer them to us. We have enough help here.
Awesome.
Sorry. Since the topic of today was about the church, I feel like I should also like talk to the church, the institution of the church. Joyce said it. It's okay not to have all the solutions, but I'd really like to urge church leaders, pastors, anyone working or serving in the church, let's be really intentional in finding solutions to this. We cannot do it without Christ. So we need a lot of Christ's help, but let's be intentional to remain ahead of it. Because one thing I believe is God is not reactive. These mental health issues, the suicide rates, we're not finding God by surprise. God wasn't like, okay, so what's happening in this one? So let's remain in contact with God and let's remain ahead of this. And we just need to be really intentional in how we find solutions, who we involve in it, because the solution is in the church. I really believe it is in the church.
Awesome, guys. It's time, you know, and I will say two things. There's someone who said, while we are all on social media,
imagine a life where all children get a fair chance to grow, learn, not worry, and just be happy, because no child should carry the burden of worry in their minds. Imagine a life where one child does not ridicule another because they have less and ends up making them feel less of a person just because they cannot afford the basics. Imagine a life where all children interact on a level playing field, because at the end of the day, they are just kids, and none of them should feel less or better than the other. Imagine a life where all school-going children are dignified the same way, and no one has to walk in shame with their heads bowed. Now stop imagining, because we need to create this kind of life for all children before it's too late. Because it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. We need to create environments where children feel safe and brave enough to tell us what scares them. An environment where going to school brings about excitement to learn and not the fear of being ridiculed by others because of your humble background. An environment where no matter what, a child sees school as a place where they feel comfortable enough to gain the knowledge that brought you there in the first place. An environment where girls and boys are taught how to take care and value themselves. We have made steps and even walked miles to be able to create this kind of environment for our children. Every day, we strive to put a smile on a child's face by doing the most we can and appeal to you to join our cause. At Ewemwa, we aim to restore and bring back the dignity that our children may have lost in ways they cannot explain. We need your help so that we can keep this hope alive, because our children are counting on us and we cannot fail them.